All right, so I just bought 100 shares of this stock, and I'm not saying you should buy it. I don't care what you do. In fact, if I buy it, you probably should not. That's for sure. I hold on to my Exxon stock, and I just feel the price of oil is going up, so maybe that will benefit some of the PEs or the earnings for Exxon. We'll see. I've had a nice little run. I really am not keen on selling stuff, even though when you see stuff in the green, you're not expecting to see stuff in the green. Sure, it's nice to take some gains, but Exxon, I just figure, look, fossil fuels are going to be with us for many, many moons. In fact, isn't it interesting? We want no fossil fuels, and yet lots of plastic in here. Okay. Anyway, so let's go. I bought Akamai Technologies. Met a guy at my conference I went to the other day who works here, and he's a nice guy. He didn't tell me about the stock or anything. He just told me about the company. So that's pretty interesting. And so I looked it up and I said, oh, pretty cheap, man. And relative to this PE ratio, right now it's at $100 a share. And so I think I put 10,000 into it. The PE ratio is 29.49. So that's relatively on the low side for a tech firm. The forward PE is 16.86, which I like. Now that again, forward PE. This pays no dividends, so this would be on the growth side of the equation, but yet value side too, getting the PE is pretty low. Anyway, 16.25 billion market cap. That's not a small company by any stretch. Nowadays, that would be probably along the lines of a mid cap, not a large cap for sure. They got 163 million shares outstanding, so I'm just a peon relative to these guys right here. But I do like this, a forward PE. So if their earnings come to play, that's a pretty cheap stock. If those earnings come into fruition, I should say. I just burped, excuse me. I don't care what Schwab Research says. I don't care what Morningstar says. For the last year, it's only up 20% relative to some of its peers. Look at there's S&P 500, 62%. Here's the U.S. Information Technology, IT is up with 4 times that, so that's fantastic. iShares, Wisdom Tree, so that's fine. But anyway, let's see what I was going to look at here. I think we got other companies in this field. Oracle. The point was their servers is pretty interesting, actually. And look, I don't know the first thing about them. I'm just curious. Let's go to ratios. I love ratios, like current ratio and whatnot. I'm just a big fan first time. Schwab. The craziest thing about Schwab, it literally took a fraction of a second to execute that trade. I was going to buy at market. I was going to put the market order last night, but I tell you guys, don't ever put a market order for the next day. Don't ever do that. You could put a limit order, that's fine, but I said, why not just wait till the next day and then buy? You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you're going to be holding this for many, many moons to come, which I fully anticipate, just hold it and let it roll. Long story short is I bought it now. It's already up 1.4%, so I missed out a little bit of a gain. It doesn't matter. Don't be one of these guys like, oh my goodness, I got to eke out every 2 pennies. It just bores me, but people love that stuff. I don't get it. Anyway, where I'm going with this is that apparently what they have is they do a lot of these server farms scattered throughout the world, essentially. Very interesting. I'm still not all that sure how it works, but I get the idea of server farms because, I'm on YouTube. And remember what happened with Parler and whatnot. And so apparently Parler using AWS, this guy was telling me so these guys partner with Amazon and compete with Amazon at the same time, and then it's an interesting thing, and who knows, maybe Amazon, because Amazon's huge. I keep realizing, sorry, maybe Amazon will buy them out. I don't know, but I mean maybe the federal government wouldn't let them. I have no idea. But the fact they have server farms all over the world is interesting because if we remember, servers are where the data is held. And the closer you can get a server farm to your destination point, i.e. I'm in Atlanta, I don't want to have to go all the way to LA to get my bits sent back to me via the pipes. I want it to be as local as possible for efficiency and quickness. Apparently these guys do this. And look, I am speaking out of ignorance, just going off what this guy told me. And I read a little bit about it. I like the fact it makes money. I like the fact it has low PE relative to his peers. I like the fact it didn't jump up that much in the last year. That's good, all the good stuff to me. It's still up 20%. No one would ever look bad on a 20% gain, but up 20% relative to 80% for the IT as a whole. I'm like, there's some buying opportunity there. So apparently, I guess these server bases scattered throughout throughout the world. What this guy was telling me is like, so the thing with Amazon Parler is that Parler was a distribution, like the content creator that was distributed via Amazon, and they don't do that. Akamai, they just hold. It was interesting the way I'm totally screwing up what he said, but I said, oh, I gotta get it. The Akamai was doing. They're basically they're not the distributor or not the content creator is what it was, but they're the like or maybe I can't remember, but they got these server farms everywhere, and you connect to the server farms to get data to your right here fast. I got you. Whereas Amazon and Parler, that was like a distribution content thing. I forgot, but anyway, so Amazon works with these guys who and compete with them too. But server farms are where it's at, man. I'm telling you right now. It seems to me. I mean, this data that's being just traded on a minute's notice, it's all held someplace. Could it be a blockchain technology or something like that? I'm still confused how that works. It's interesting. I was talking to this other guy about blockchain. But like Odyssey, library/Odyssey, it was an alternative to YouTube. Basically, what this guy was a different guy. He's saying it's almost like a spider web, essentially. So you have some of the data, this other guy's got some of the data, this other guy's some of the data, and somehow it gets consolidated into one data source and goes through the pipes to load a video on your website or load a video of what you can watch. I don't get how that works. It's very, very interesting to me. But you got some data, they got some data, they got some data, they got some data. And so even if you were to ban this guy over here, well, all this data still flows over here, I guess. I'm still confused how that works. But like all these different tentacles that kind of consolidate once you have a request that go and puts this thing and it sends it to you. It's incredibly amazing to me. It's freaking awesome, man. I love it. I'm not anti-tech, by the way. I just think it's fantastic. So I'm not saying you should buy the stuff. Look, man, I'm flying on ignorance here, but I like a low PE. I like the fact that it didn't make much as a gain relative to the market as a whole. I like the idea, the concept of the server farms. I know that given that Google, man, they spend a boatload of money on server farms. I know that, and that's where all the data is. You got to have server farms. You don't have server farms, everything shuts down. That's all there is to it. So I bought 100 shares, about $10,000. We'll see how that shakes out, but. Yeah, this is Akamai, I think, and I think they're based out of, I think, like I said, Massachusetts or something. I think Cambridge, maybe. Anyway, look it over. All right, we'll see you.